If you're anything like me, then you have a sense of where you want to head financially. You want to make a lot of money, you want to keep more of your money, and not have any debt. So many of you might know that I paid off my debt back in 2014, so almost a decade ago. How would I pay off debt if I was doing it in this economy and in this year? I'm going to show you in 3 different types of debt, and stick around to the end because I have some suggestions on other areas of your life that can improve too. Let's go ahead and unpack the first most common type of debt that I see when I'm working one-on-one with my money coaching clients, and that is student loan debt. Many of you know that I paid off $35,000 in student loan debt in just 2.5 years on a $37,000 salary. Now, if I was to do this over in this year, in this economy, what I would really focus on is that repayment pause and interest waiver that has been happening for almost 3 years since the pandemic. What I would have done is I would have paid down that balance as much as possible. Now, the only way that I would be doing that is if I didn't have any other debt. So no car debt, no credit card debt, no personal loans, any of that. If I only had student loans, then I would be focusing on reducing that principal while there's no interest accruing. Now, that said, and given at the time of this recording, we are still waiting on a court ruling whether or not the Biden administration's proposal for $10,000 student loan blanket forgiveness is actually going to get approved. While we're working on that, and in 60 days from June 30th, repayments will resume for all federal student loans. So that means after August 29th of 2023, our federal student loan payments are going to kick in and be required of us, and also that interest is going to start accruing again. So we still have a little bit of time left. So you have 2 more months to really pay down that principal, but even better than that, what you could do is take that student loan payment that you would be making towards the balance and instead pull it over into a high yield savings account. Currently, I'm earning 3.85% on my Ally High Yield Savings account. So I'm getting 3.85% on that money, and we could do that for June and July and August. So we're making a little bit of interest from our savings account, and then after that August 29th date, or right before that August 29th date, go ahead and make a lump sum payment to your student loan debt. That way you've maximized the amount of interest you can accrue from the savings account and earn, and you can also minimize the amount of interest that accrues on your student loan debt. The next most common debt that I see, and one that I think about if I was paying off this type of debt in this economy, is credit card debt, which is the hardest debt that you can pay down because the interest rates are so high. In fact, the Federal Reserve has done its 10th interest rate hike within the past year. Whenever we see an interest rate hike set by the Federal Reserve, that changes the rates of which banks can lend at, which means our interest rates on things like credit card debt and mortgages and car loans are all going to increase. And I've seen this even though I don't carry any credit card debt, and I've never carried credit card debt. I do responsibly use credit cards for their rewards and point systems. In fact, I have a Southwest Rapid Rewards card with my business, and I saw when I had first opened up that account and that the APY was 15.99%. I didn't really care about that because, again, I don't carry a balance and I always pay it off in full every single month. Last month I checked it and that interest rate had creeped up to 23%. All because of the Federal Reserve. Nothing else that could impact it as dramatically as that, as when you see those interest rate hikes from the Fed. So what I would do in this case, if I had credit card debt this year, I would start with the credit card debt first because it's your highest interest rate. Now what you can do is you can group your credit card debts according to highest interest rate, and then you can also group them according to smallest outstanding balance. So if you have credit card debt, a car loan, loan and student loans, I would focus on the credit card debt first, because in the long run, you're going to be saving the most amount of money on that interest because you're focused on paying that one off. If you have multiple credit card debts, then I would focus on the one that has the smallest outstanding balance and then work up to the highest outstanding balance within the credit card category. Now remember, rates are offered based off of your credit score. So even though we did see an interest rate hike, there's also going to be the factor of your individual credit score going into play on your interest rates. Let's take a look at the third debt, which is car debt, car loans. I see car loans all the time, and I cannot tell you how many people I've met with who have $400, $500, $600 monthly payments towards their car loans, and it just, this is the one that gets me the most, because I feel like with credit card debt, there's an understanding of a slippery slope of you kind of falling into old spending patterns and behaviors, and there's easy ways to address this. The car loan is that's straight out just one purchase and you're done, and it's for a lot of money. So again, the interest rates set by the Federal Reserve have really increased the rates at which you can take out these car loans. Now, I would put a car loan second to the credit card debt right now, because in most cases, the credit card debt interest rate is going to be higher than the car loan. I would avoid financing at all costs, because due to the pandemic, we saw an increase in prices, especially on used cars, and it made it really difficult for people who were in the car market to actually get a good deal. I would also really shop hard with privately owned vehicles and looking at Facebook Marketplace for used cars and working with a private owner if at all possible. I find that those deals are usually the most direct. That's how I sold my car when I was leaving Kansas, and it was just a really easy, straightforward process. All right, so if you've gotten to this part of the video, this is the part where I've got kind of three different angles that I'm looking at in my lifestyle when it comes to the debt-free journey, especially in this year where we're seeing a lot of remote work positions opening up. And I think there is room for negotiation when it comes to our salary and remote work, whether or not it's monetary or maybe a more flexible work-life balance where you are able to work from home is really going to be crucial in terms of work-life balance. In fact, millennials prioritize work-life balance way more than a higher salary, and for obvious reasons. Our mental health does better, we're more present for our families, and we can actually do the things that we want to do. So I would really work on honing my negotiation skills. There's a fabulous book called How to Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and he teaches a masterclass on the art of negotiation. I find that book to be incredibly insightful, and Chris Voss used to be an ex-FBI hostage negotiator. So, if you want to learn negotiation tactics, you definitely want to learn it from this person. You also want to role play. Practice speaking out loud those negotiation strategies and talking about and asking what you want, whether it's a promotion or a raise. Anytime I see where I'm becoming stagnant in my job, and I switched jobs twice during the 2.5 years that I was paying off my student loan debt because I did not see room for raises in the current position. So it was easier for me to hop to another organization in order to increase my salary and responsibilities. Next is housing. Obviously, housing is going to be your biggest living expense during your debt-free journey and even after your debt-free journey. And so what I would do is I would prioritize not really getting myself into home ownership where there's a lot of sunk costs, and also if I have debt, that's not something I want to take on, but renting, but in a fun location. So whether or not that is in the downtown area of your local city, or even considering a move outside of your state to another interesting location that you've always wanted to try, I find that a good balance of living in the present, like living in a really fun location, but also prioritizing your financial goals, like paying down the debt, gives you the best blend of planning ahead for your future financial self and also living in the present moment. And speaking of present moment and living in it, of course, the third part of my lifestyle when it comes to the debt-free journey is fun. So I really want to take advantage of fun and free things to do that are local to my city, as well as dabbling in some travel. When I was paying off my debt, I went to really fun locations like Puerto Rico, Florida, California, Colorado. And what I did is I prioritized locations where I knew friends and family were already living. With the Puerto Rico trip, I was able to group together with a group of friends and go all in on a cheap Airbnb and a cheap rental car. So find opportunities like that if you want to travel and go visit somebody where you have a free place to stay and free transportation, and all you really have to worry about is your plane ticket and any discretionary spending while you're on vacation. So I did this in my debt-free journey, and I currently do it now still because this is the best thing ever, is take advantage of happy hours. Take advantage of that sweet spot where you can get $5 cocktails, $5 beers, and really cheap appetizers, and use that as your dinner time on a Friday night out. I find this is the cheapest way to eat out and get that experience without paying for a full 3-course meal. I also like taking advantage of those free and fun activities. So anytime that I see a local Parks and Rec, I try to Google them and sign up for their newsletters. Usually those e-newsletters are going to tell you exactly what activities are available or what's going on in your city in the month. You can take advantage of things that are around your city that don't cost a lot of money. I love going on hikes. I use the All Trails app to help me find some really fun hikes that I can do for free. I have access to the beach living in Southern California, but maybe for you, it's a lake, it's a park, it's a river, whatever that may be, the mountains. Like, just getting outdoors and outside is really going to help you connect back with yourself and your values and get you to that feeling of contentment instead of feeling like you gotta chase spending and temporary pleasure in order to feel satisfied and spending money along in the process. That's something that we want to try to push away from and start incorporating back those contentment activities. So that's a look of how I would pay off my debt, prioritizing credit card debt, then the car loan, and then the student loan debt, and also making sure that I'm having fun along the way by living in a fun location, but also doing it cheaply by maybe having a roommate or with a partner, or maybe a location that has less amenities, looking for fun and free stuff to do, and really working on negotiating my salary or better work-life balance in my current position. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to join us. If you aren't subscribed to the Debt-Free Millennials channel, hit the red subscribe button and join the family of like-minded millennials who are committed to achieving financial confidence that leads to more fun and less payments, and I'll catch you in the next one.